Welcome to Moogle Market 2021. We have Ryuuza with us today. Hi!
Hello.
Thank you for joining us for Moogle Market.
Thank you for having me.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Giuseppe. Most of you know me on the internet as Ryuuza. Big Final Fantasy fan, as some of you may already know. That's mainly what I draw at the moment, and my favourites currently are 7, 9, 14, and 15. Um, if you've been to a KupoCon in the UK, you probably will have seen me there in the marketplace.
So, you've basically have done quite a few artist alleys before?
Yeah, I'm a veteran. Yeah, be going to cons for a long time,
Over a
selling
decade?
my own comic as well as art prints and things.
Yes, I saw that you have some original work as well, aside from the usual fan works.
Yep. Um, my current comic is called Soul Snatchers, which you can read on Tapas at the minute. It also comes out in trade paperback form every few chapters.
What's it about?
Um, it it it's basically if you sell your soul to the devil, these guys are the debt collectors.
Oh, that sounds fun. So they're
Yeah,
like they're like really extra scary, fantastical tax people.
yeah, I suppose so. They don't seem that scary when you first look at them, but that's because you don't know what they can do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
it's like a sort of mild horror, black comedy, holy wars type of thing.
I see. Sounds fun. So, considering we are showcasing artists of currently the Final Fantasy fandom, we
Yep.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
First question is, what got you into art?
Uh, to say the cliche, been drawing since I could hold a pencil. Um, yeah, I've just like always been into it for as long as I can remember. You know,
Do you remember
drawing.
what you first drew, more or less?
Okay, some Ryuuza history from the long past here, but my dad used to make up a lot of bedtime stories for me and my brother, and one of those things was the big bad wolf, and that was the first thing I remember drawing a lot.
Really?
Yeah,
Just the big bad wolf?
yeah, the big bad wolf and his mum or his little brother, or I think my
There was a
mum's
whole
still.
family?
Oh God, yeah, yeah. There was a family. There was plot lines. There was. I
Plot
think my
lines.
mum. I think my mum still got some of my drawings from when I was like 3.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, goodness. And, well, I'm assuming you've come a long way from the big bad wolf.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, I'm assuming uh, you started getting into, like, digital work more than traditional, I guess?
Um, I I'm I'm 36, so I'm kind of in that funny divide between doing lots of traditional and then lots of digital. Because I didn't get like Photoshop or anything until I was about 17. Um, so I did dabble in digital art before that, but it was mostly like Microsoft Paint and
Oh, I see.
and Paint Shop Pro and other things that
I guess we're a
people
little
I
more easy to come by.
yeah. Well, MS Paint, of course, was on every single computer that wasn't a Macintosh,
That's true.
which had their own version of Paint anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, up until then, I was pretty much all traditional. And then, of course, I started getting into digital. Asked for a tablet for Christmas, and it just kind of all went on from there. Um, went to did my foundation at college, went to uni. Now, actually, I do e-learning media,
Mm,
so that comics, illustrations, and animation for learning stuff, which is quite cool.
that is pretty cool. Uh, well, when you were doing traditional before you started doing digital, was there a particular medium that you liked using?
Um,
Like
well, I
pencils?
liked using and still do like using watercolor pencils.
Oh,
Um,
those are fun to use.
yeah, watercolor pencils and ink pens. Yeah, it's just like I like using watercolor paints as well, but the pencils you can just get such vibrant colors out of them.
You can also get a lot more control than from a paintbrush.
Yes, yeah, which is useful for when I'm at cons or something and
Hmm.
don't need the mess.
Yeah, could you imagine having like a little bucket of water next to your paint set and then having someone just knock it over all your
Ye-
prints? That would be horrible.
Yep, 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 yep.
I mean, granted, you probably need at least a little bit, but I'm assuming you would water water up those pencils
Yeah,
later.
if yeah, if if I'm using the pencils, I need a lot less water than I would do if I was using paints. And considering people do things like put their bags on your table,
Oh, isn't that a thing?
yep, cons are fun.
Cons are very fun. I remember what cons were like, sort of. Actually, it feels like it's been so long, even though it's only
Oh
been,
God,
what,
yeah,
less than two
like
years?
yeah, but when you've not got much to do, that time just kind of stretches and shrinks as
Yeah, that's true.
it's like being in a wormhole.
That's true. Well, that's why we have these little events. It's not it's not like a full con, but hey, it's something, right?
Yeah, but it just looks really cool, and the website's so cute from what I've seen of it.
Thanks. Oh, one of the first ones that was done was your booth. I'm pretty sure by the point that people hear this interview, they'll be perusing everything from your table there.
Oh, nice.
Originally, the booths were meant to be more traditionally like an artist alley, but considering we had a smaller amount of artists than I thought we would have, uh, I wound up with a lot more space. So I decided, you know what? Let's go full crazy, and everyone gets their own nice little decorated booths. I'm trying to remember what
Yeah,
I did for yours.
let's see. But yeah, I really like the layout. It's like a big garden fete type thing.
Yep. I figured, well, we can't really be outside, so let's try and be virtually outside.
One sec. Oh well, I think I'm in the wrong thing. I'll check it later.
Yeah, but yes, basically, I had everyone have their own little thing. I think yours had a little bit more trees than the others did, but generally, it's a
That's
nice
because I
little
like
garden
trees.
setting.
Uh, let's see. I'm anonymous at the minute. Okay, I think I perhaps need a bit more time to set this up.
Perhaps, but yeah, it's sort of too bad that cons have sort of dropped off a little. I know some places have restarted them.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit iffy about those, but as long as everyone's being safe, that's what counts. see.
Yeah, I mean, I know that MCM is trying to start up again, and
Yeah, so I heard.
although, yeah, I mean, I've applied for a table, and then I should hear. Well, I've applied for a table at Birmingham and London, and I should hear next week whether I got in or not.
Oh, yes, here we are.
But
Yes.
it's kind of a play by ear thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I do see your booth now. It is in fact full of trees. I got your little banner next to your table, which has like a little quill and ink bottle with some small little portrait looking things, I guess, that are working as prints. We have
Like a little forest pixie.
you have your Palm Pride Moogles on display, and your set of Moogle Fantasy Moogles.
Yeah,
But yes,
there's a theme.
there's a theme here, and yes, there's a few other things here too.
Yeah,
It's quite cute. But yes, I know a little bit earlier you said that you are a fan of 7 and 9, and you also play 14.
I do. Yes.
Yes. If you had to choose between the three of them,
Uh,
which which one do you think would be your favorite?
well, there's two things here. Um, my favorite to play is 9. I love 9. I love the setting. I love the characters. I love the mini games. I just love everything about it. But 7 is my most influential game by far. I mean, it was the thing that got me into JRPGs. It got me into anime. It got me into just like a whole load of things that had never really been open to me before.
Basically, it was
Uh,
your gateway to fandom in general.
it was. I was utterly obsessed with it when I first played it because I'd never played anything like it before.
It was quite a bit of a turn from the original 6 Final Fantasies. It,
Yeah, I mean, I had to go back from 7, but yeah, it was no hardship at all. Because the first 6 are kind of also fantastic.
mm-hmm,
Um, particularly um, particularly the latter 3, 4, 5, and 6.
mm-hmm. Although, yes, 7 was the gateway for a lot of people, myself included. Most likely because it was probably the most accessible worldwide.
Yeah,
Compared to the original 6, where half of them were possibly available in some countries.
yeah, we're I mean we're I know only 1, 4, and 6 were released originally, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were available in Europe or not.
At the time, I don't think so, but
No,
we could be wrong.
the first TV console I owned was the PlayStation anyway. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to
Well, like I said,
before then it was playing on friends and cousins' Mega Drives and SNESes.
yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, the PlayStation 1 was truly the only one that was available worldwide. I remember
Yeah,
back in the day, old consoles, old machines would go upwards of hundreds of dollars. More ridiculous than they were now.
yeah.
It's kind of insane how the same games that we could play now are such small amount of memory required to play them, but back
Oh
then
God,
that
I
was
know.
really revolutionary, and each game was so expensive.
Yeah, like 2.1 gigabytes of game.
Yep.
I think that was my entire hard drive at the time.
As I recall, Final Fantasy VII overall, with every single game, yeah, I think one disc was about 200 and something megabytes.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, goodness. Remember those days of having to swap out the discs because one single disc couldn't hold the entire game?
Yeah. I remember getting 8 and was like 4 discs.
Yeah, 7 was 3. 3 was already revolutionary. Like, wow, 3? Wow, how does
This
that
is an
work?
extravagance.
This is extravagance. And then when 8 came out, there's 4? Yeah, the
Yeah,
PS1 era was something to experience.
it was,
Kids
but
these
I'm glad
days
I
will
did.
never know. Kids these days will never know the joy of having to swap out a disc to get to the next part of the game.
Or having to blow their cartridges to get all the dust out of
Or
them.
if we're going really old, having 13 floppy disks to play one game. Oh, those were the days.
Or a cassette tape, depending on what you were playing on.
That too. Oh, goodness. The days of
Yeah,
the Commodore 64.
oh, we didn't even have that. We had it's like when Commodore 64 came out and all the copies came out as well,
Right.
and we had an Oric 2
Oh, Lord.
with Oric Munch that totally wasn't Pac-Man in any way, shape, or form. So I lie. That was our first TV console.
Ah, well, there you go. Had to dig back into the deepest
Back.
memories.
Good times.
Good times, though. All right, so um, since you've greatly dodged the question of which uh, favorite Final Fantasy you got, how about something a little less dangerous to answer? A lot less dangerous. What do you like about Final Fantasy in general? Like the battle systems, the magic, the story, the music.
I mean, it's just the whole package, really. Because as I said, 7 was just my gateway to a whole load of things. I didn't know games could have such rich, fantastical worlds or characters, and gosh, God, the music was just phenomenal. I'd appreciated video game music before I played Final Fantasy, but I appreciated it as background music.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't kind of think of it as its whole as a whole in itself, where like you could just listen to the music outside of the game and it would still evoke the same emotions in you
Mm-hmm.
that you got within the game itself.
Yeah, I know people don't like talking about this one topic in specific, but the first time hearing One Winged Angel was really awesome and spoke of the depth of what was going on in that one point in time.
God, yeah,
Like the
God,
chills you would get just hearing it, that
that
chorus, the first time they actually put a singing chorus in the game.
yeah, I
You're just like,
honestly,
yeah.
I know it's become a meme now and people say, oh yeah, it's overrated, but that
It
is genuinely one of my favorite pieces of music of all time. I played the uh, I played the orchestra version to my music teacher, and he said it was phenomenal. And he's a hard man to please.
Yeah. There's actually quite a few people who, not knowing what video games are, if you present to them the orchestrated One Winged Angel, they would just call it a masterpiece.
Mm. I told him it was from Final Fantasy. He knew it was from a video game, but that kind of I mean, I
Nobo,
say he was hard to please, but
yeah.
that kind of thing wasn't
Hmm.
wasn't important to him. It was still
Yeah,
music.
indeed. Nobo does very good work.
He does.
I kind of want him to come back, but come
I
back,
know, but
do the other games, do the new games,
he's a
please.
poorly man, and it makes me sad.
I know. But he's such a happy little grandpa sometimes.
I know.
He's so adorable. I've met him once, but he just gave the cutest little old grandpa smile ever when he signed
Oh God,
my
yeah,
copy
yeah,
of the I think it was Black Mage's CD.
yeah. Honestly, he is just such a happy little man. I love him. I went to the 25th anniversary event before Distant Worlds at Royal Albert Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and he and the other composers and Arnie signed
Right, Arnie Roth.
one of my pieces of artwork. Um, which was a have you've seen the heroes, heroines, and villains pieces that I've done?
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, it was an early prototype of the villains piece.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, they were originally supposed to be 25th anniversary pieces, and they ended up taking so long to complete that they became 30th anniversary instead. But it did mean I could add 15 to the
That's true.
composition.
That is true.
It needs an update though because the character for the villain for 14 is Gaius, and that's just like no, very long time ago now.
Yep.
Moved on significantly.
Yeah, 14 tends to be an evolving story, so it's like 1 minute it's this villain, next minute, oh, we got a new guy? Oh, yay. We
We
could,
got a new guy. Is he really a villain? Are we sure?
are we sure? Are you guys sure? You're not pulling my leg, are you?
I'm going to love him anyway.
Okay. Isn't that how it always is? New Final Fantasy comes out, or new
Yep.
new part of a Final Fantasy game that's already there comes out, and you're just like, oh, a new villain.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there goes my heart.
If the villain looks kind of gothy and tired in any way at all, it's just like, yeah, I like that one.
His tiredness speaks to me,
Yes,
because technically speaking, we're all tired villains.
we are. We are.
Anyone who says we're the heroes of our own story don't understand how this world works.
No.
We're all tired villains. That's all we are. Some of us may be slightly nicer than others, but we're all essentially just really, really tired villains.
Yeah, tired grandpa villains.
Yep. Just gonna sit.
That's a good sentiment. I like it.
Yep. Just gonna sit here and grump about these youngins running around on their quests to save the world as if they can change anything. Grump, 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 grump. Hey, you
Oh God,
kids,
have
get
you
off my
died
lawn.
again?
It's
Get out of the live stream. Come on.
it's like, get out. Come on. Come on. You still got other things to do. Come on, you
Yep.
whippersnapper. Get out before I get you with my long 7 foot long cane. Oh boy. All right. Well, speaking of installments of games, what do you hope for future Final Fantasy products like games, spin-offs, anime, books, whatever? Anything that catches your interest. Is there anything you would
I
like to see in the future?
I can't think of anything in particular that I personally would like to see that hasn't been done yet or isn't being planned. Um, Obviously, I'm really looking forward to Endwalker. Very much looking forward to 16. I'm also really excited about the Final Fantasy 9 series. I I just like everybody saying, "Oh yeah, this done by this company. It's going to look so childish," and it's like, well, yeah, but considering the target audience, the game was only rated 12,
Indeed.
and it's just like, it is whimsical, and it does tackle kind of serious subjects like, you know, death and identity, but in a way that younger people would understand.
Mm-hmm. Also,
So
to be fair, the series is being made in Japan. The children
yeah,
over there are treated rather differently than the children that are
they
treated out west.
they are.
They tend to treat children a little more seriously when it comes to serious topics rather than just shielding them completely from it.
Mm,
Even
yeah,
even if things are gonna look really childish from our view to their views, it's just nice and simple and easy to explain to the kids, and it'll still
yeah,
tell a
but
story as well.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you can sit there and say, "Oh, death is too serious a subject for children," and I'm like, have you seen children's movies? Like ever?
Have you heard some old children's stories where half of the cast tend to die?
Yep.
I mean, you in most stories I've heard, like old fairy tales, the true old fairy tales,
Mm,
literally the first 5 sentences of Cinderella is two people have died.
yeah. And then you've got things like Watership Down.
Oh, Lord. Yes, my mother. Oh, look, honey, look at this cute book with all these bunny rabbits. Oh, yay, mommy, thank you. 1 week later.
why, why, why is that rabbit foaming at the mouth?
Mommy, why did you make me read this?
We had. I don't know if it ever made it out of the UK, but there's a series of books that was made into an animated series called Animals of Farthing Wood, and that was similarly realistic in how it dealt with wild animals.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it didn't make it out, or if it did, it got shut down really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, but it was traumatizing in places.
To be fair, kids from our generation, most of the stuff that we had that was considered rated G would have been rated PG-13 these days.
Probably.
Due to the fact that there's a lot of traumatizing content in them. Like, oh yay, your dog's dead. What? And they don't skimp on the doggy death off screen. They
No,
show it on screen. Welcome
no.
to the 80s, kids.
I mean, look at Old Yeller. Oops, your dog's got rabies. Got to go out and shoot it.
Yep.
No, why?
Oh, Yeller, no.
We might want to get off the topic of animal death.
Most likely. This is the first. This is the first. I think it's the first interview of the day. So, oh yeah, we're starting off Moogle Market on the right foot. Sadness, children, and animal death. Right.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure we're all mature enough to deal with it. No, we aren't. But you know, well, yeah. Back to the topic of the FF9 anime. From what I can tell, for some people it may seem childish, but I think it's just really they're trying to emulate the style of
Yeah,
the art of FF9 because the sprites in there were, well, basically chibis.
yeah. I mean, it just mirrors the criticisms that were coming out coming out at the same time as the game, where they said, "Oh, look, comparing it to Final Fantasy VIII, it just looks really bad," and like,
I don't know. I thought they look a lot
have
smoother
have
than
you no
8.
joy in your heart?
Also, I think it looked a lot smoother than 8. Have you seen Squall's hair from the original 8 game? Have you
I
seen
still
his
remember
pixely face?
yeah,
That pixely face. Oh yeah, the handsomest guy here.
yep, yep,
Yep.
yep.
Good God, we're old.
People who haven't played the original will never know.
Yep. I saw his face in the remaster that came out, I think, last year. I was
It just is.
disappointed to see that I could clearly see his nose and his
Yep.
eyes were level and they weren't like, overlapping each other. And I could tell he had lips and they weren't big lips. And his hair
R.I.P. to the meme.
and his hair couldn't cut things like it used to. Them sharp polygons. Children these days will never know.
Oh, PS1 games, we love you.
Well, that's what started it all off. If it weren't for the release of 7 and the re-releases of, say, 6 and Tactics, uh, as well as like the subsequent games that came after, I mean, people can complain about 8 and 9 all they want, but if not for those two that came out after 7 to keep things going, we probably would not have the other games that we would have today due to the lack
No.
of interest. Because 7 was quite ballsy of Square at the time to suddenly change the formula from, the usual medieval fantasy to
Yeah.
outright modern and
Yeah. Yeah.
eco-terrorism.
I mean, 6 kind of got halfway there with Magitech.
Yeah,
Um,
but overall, the whole world still had the feel of a medievalish
yeah,
fantasy
it was
setting.
still mostly high fantasy. Yeah.
Yep. Whereas if you looked at Midgar, you can easily see elements from our own world in there. It's no longer
Yeah.
true fantasy. It's a fantasy in that the story itself is like way out there,
Yeah,
but compared to the first six that came out, it's suddenly we've gone from Lord of the Rings to The Matrix.
it was ambitious.
It was, and it thankfully worked out for them because every other subsequent game afterwards was like another experiment with the same formula, which I find really refreshing, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I always say is that every Final Fantasy is going to be somebody's favorite Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be your cup of tea,
Bet
but
someone will love it.
yeah, and I've honestly found something to enjoy about every single one of the ones I played, including the latest ones.
Like 15?
Yeah, I really don't go for that whole not true Final Fantasy at all, because they're all so different to each other that how do you quantify what a real Final Fantasy is?
Indeed. There's no real way to say that, and honestly, if I see that it says Final Fantasy and it's done by Square, that's all it
Yep,
needs to be a real Final Fantasy.
exactly.
If it says it's a different company, you can chuck that out the window.
Yep.
It's like, wait, a Final Fantasy not by Square Enix? Goodbye.
Well, unless it's the Final Fantasy bands, that's different.
Yeah, that's different. But unless it's more like the games, honestly.
Yeah.
If it's the games and it's not Square, it just doesn't feel as right. Also, I'm pretty sure there's some copyright infringement right there.
So I say
Square.
I say I say band. Final Fantasy is a single artist as far as I know, but
Yeah.
he makes nice music.
Mhm. All right. So, last question then. Is there anything you're working on right now that you'd like to talk about? Anything
Um,
in the works or in the
a
future?
few things. I mean, I keep saying it's going to be out this year, and then things keep happening, but it will be out eventually. I Emmett is my favorite character from 14.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes, I recall.
and yes, I'm hoping to have an art book for him finished sometime soon. Possibly not 2021 now, but
Well,
but sometime.
give yourself a
I'm
deadline.
gra-
Maybe you can get ready for Christmas.
so I'm slowly working on that. I'm also working on. I was commissioned to do his earring um, as a custom shrinky uh,
Oh,
charm
I see.
recently, and it's I'm planning on doing more NPC jewelry,
Oh ho.
and probably not just for 14 either, but for the other games.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my friends said, "Oh, how about Arden's sword?"
Oh dear. Well, there's certainly a lot of characters out there with their unique items on them.
Yep, and because I've got kind of not expensive gold and silver jewelry making stuff, but um, I've got jewelry wire, and I've got earring hooks, so I can do them as earrings, or you can buy them as a charm with a strap. So yeah, hooray for versatility.
That is one thing that we should all try and have.
Damn straight.
Besides, it's less boring that way. You can
It
surprise
is.
someone.
It is.
They think that you're one
Honestly.
thing, but in reality, you can be something else, like a chameleon,
Dun, dun, dun.
an art chameleon.
But yeah, I've not got any other solid plans other than doing more artwork. But those are two things I am going ahead with.
Please
Uh,
always love on Emmett.
yes,
We
He's a
can at
very sad
least,
grandpa.
yeah, we can always at least assume that you're always going to be working on something for Emmett.
True.
Someone's got to love on that old grandpa.
I mean, he needs it. Look at his face.
Yeah, he looks really tired. It's like Emmett, you got
He's
some
so,
you got some bags under there. You okay?
so tired and
You you
grumpy.
you,
He
you
needs
need some tea, coffee, apple juice, maybe prune juice. I don't know.
just Hades Emmett sitting there with a sippy cup in his claws, drinking his juice.
Drink a juice, Emmett. You'll be less angry later. Actually, come to think of it, maybe he would be less angry if people would constantly be offering him coffee, tea, and juice.
If you go for an entire story telling people the truth and trying to make them interested in ancient history, and they're just like slagging you off all the time, it's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, it would be. It's like, why won't these youngins listen to me? Well, one, you're kind of distracting. Your face is kind of distracting. Two, no one likes talking about history, any history, unless they're a historian, and even then, they don't like talking about the history.
Yeah, stop making me go to school.
Stop making me go to school. I graduated a while back. Stop it, Grandpa. I don't want to hear about the war again. Stop talking about the War of the Astrals. I just imagine him in an alternate universe talking like some old veteran about the Great War, and everyone's just like, yeah, sure. Sure thing, Grandpa Emmett. That's nice. Well, he
Oh
grumpily
yeah,
sips
I
his
mean,
apple juice.
well, we don't know exactly why Varys hates him as much as he does.
Indeed.
So perhaps he just has traumatizing memories of him telling him during the war.
Or maybe they stole each other's juice. We don't know.
No, he's pretty much one of the most terrible grandpas to exist in the Final Fantasy universe, but I still love him anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's our time. Thank you so much for talking with me, Ryuuza.
Yeah, thank you very much again for having me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the event.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well. Ryuuza can be found on Twitter and Facebook, I believe, and her
Yep.
store is also on Etsy. So please take a look. There's plenty of
Yep.
good things there.
It's just Ryuuza underscore art for Twitter and Ryuuza art one word for Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you're searching for me.
And I think just Ryuuza for Etsy.
Yes.
So there you go. Make sure to check out her store and other socials. Anyways, thank you so much.